This is AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, an almost regularly scheduled open discussion on audio and video in higher education. We'll sound off about our most brilliant ideas, our dumbest mistakes, and everything in between. And because this conversation will almost certainly go off the rails at some point, we'll end up covering just about everything else. And now, the AV SuperFriends. For June 5th, 2026, it's the best sounding and most technically focused podcast in higher ed. Still, this is the AV SuperFriends Off the Rails episode number 139. Broadcasting live from the physical underworld of the AV in the land of bent pins, broken clips, mystery adapters, unholy couplers, and that one cable in the rack that has somehow become structural. Because before you can have routing, switching, streaming, encoding, decoding, or a seamless user experience, you first need someone to plug the right thing into the correct thing. I'm Chris Decker. It's time for another Friday afternoon podcast adventure, and let's say hello to our panel of AV SuperFriends. Get over here. Our first panel, misfire. Our first panelist oversees the planning, labeling, routing, rerouting, and eventual rediscovery of cables that nobody remembers ever installing. He's a senior manager of connectivity discovery services from Kansas City. Say hello to Mr. Jamie Reinhardt.
Hi, everybody.
Fantastic.
That's all I got today. Brain is toast.
Hey, stop it. I'm going to start muting you. Our next panel ensures that every strategic digital transformation initiative begins with someone plugging the right thing into the other right thing. He's a director of physical network enablement from Corvallis, Oregon. Say hello to Mr. Mark Kolowazinski.
We have a multicast physical cables that we're using for all of this. It's amazing new technologies.
Multicast cables?
Yes. Certified.
Because they care.
Guaranteed.
Our next panelist develops long-term vision for how cables should ideally get from point A to point B without ever becoming a visible fire hazard. He's a principal engineer for Cable Pathway Strategy from Greensboro, North Carolina. Say hello to Mr. Larry Darling.
I like the fact that you point out a visible fire hazard. So as long as it's in the walls, we don't care.
Yeah, those fires just burn off.
It's only a problem if someone can see it, Larry. Sorry, my levels are all over the place. And our final panelist provides executive leadership for the institution's copper, fiber, patch panels, mystery wall plates, and that sacred cross-functional governance required to make one tiny light blink. He's a vice president for strategic link light optimization from Bowling Green, Kentucky. Say hello to Mr. Justin Rexing.
What link light? We didn't check the link light.
Wasn't on your punch list?
It's in the closet. We're not allowed in the closet.
Oh, you know that
link
key.
light on the XLR.
They've changed the badge access on those IDFs.
Yeah, we can't
It'll
get
work
in.
itself out.
Strangely enough, things seem more reliable. I'm not sure. Why are my levels all over the place? Mark, what did you do to my effects rig over here?
I don't know. I think you did the same to mine. So whatever we did in
I just
WMET,
hopped over to
messed
Wyoming
everything
and
up.
turned some knobs real quick and came right back to Kentucky.
So on today's show, we're going to discuss the critical physical connectivity and the fantastic technology behind Layer 1. We're also going to talk about the craziest place we've ever had to terminate a cable, or the craziest type of termination we've ever had to make?
Both
Either?
are fair. Both are
Both
fair.
are in play.
Yeah.
The craziest place and or craziest type of termination.
Yes.
We're talking
Both.
terminations
All of
today.
it.
This is our
You get double
Terminator
points if you
themed
get both.
episode.
Yes.
But first, because everyone hates it when I do it, time for some housekeeping. So first of all, if you're listening to this as a recorded MP3, we stream live on Fridays at about 3:15 Eastern, 12:15 Pacific. You're watching that right now. Or whenever Justin finally figures out which cable goes into which switch. You can join us live for that on Twitter, LinkedIn, or YouTube. And assuming the uplink is actually patched, that the link lights are blinking, and nobody temporarily borrowed the good cable for another project 3 years ago. If you can't join us live, we still want for you to connect with us on the socials. Please follow AV SuperFriends on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Blue Sky, or wherever else all those packets go. Like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, crimp the connector, tone the pair, certify the run, label both ends, and then immediately lose the spreadsheet where you documented it, because I've never done that. Also, don't forget to spread the word. Share this podcast with your friends, enemies, colleagues, cable contractors, low-voltage goblins, that one person who insists that the problem is probably the network before checking to see if the cable is actually plugged in. If you could crawl above a ceiling tile and staple an AV SuperFriends flyer to every mystery bundle of abandoned Cat 5, that would be tremendous. Unsafe, but tremendous. If you want to support the show, please consider donating. Your contributions help to keep us bringing you the honest content that you love or love to hate. It also helps us to afford important podcasting supplies like hosting fees, adapters, replacement adapters, adapters for the adapters, and that one extremely expensive cable that only works when held at just the right angle. We're always eager to hear from you, so please send us your questions, comments, war stories, bad rack photos, unlabeled patch panel nightmares, tales of it worked yesterday, and troubleshooting, and all that fun stuff. You can email us, message us on the socials, or stand in a telecom room shouting layer 1 until somebody from facilities asks if you're supposed to actually be in there.
Sure.
And thank
Are
you
you
all for
okay?
your support, because we could not do this without you.
That was a lot of words.
A lot of words.
I have
to get through
adapter
stuff.
converters. So you have an adapter, but you need an adapter
Remember
converter.
that system that we found down in the men's basketball locker room that had like 6
Yes.
adapters plugged in, and
Yes.
it worked to get
It worked.
to get a Nintendo
There was,
Wii
and it was
into a
digital
projector.
on both sides, and in between was a VGA.
Don't know how.
I
but
don't
it
know what
did.
was going on, but it worked.
All righty. Let's see. We need to take a quick break, but before we get to listen to the news, let's take a moment for some reflection. Let's take a pause. Let's take a step back. Maybe some quiet contemplations.
And now, Quiet Contemplations by Miles Dante.
Maybe the reason conference rooms are so hard to use is that deep down, the rooms don't want to attend meetings either.
Probably
true.
true. Could have been
True.
an email. It could have been an email. It saved all that time.
You guys gotten into the threads now about a meeting invite where someone asks a clarification and everyone's just clicking the Copilot button,
Wait, what?
It is the same
what
response.
happens?
Yeah.
and it's just summarizing the summary of the summary. I'm just like, oh my goodness,
We have reached Furby. It's just Furbies talking to one another. That's all it is anymore.
it's pretty bad.
Just two.
forgot
Justin,
about
wait
Furby.
for it. It will happen. It'll be clear that
Yeah.
someone is using Copilot to draft their email, and someone is clicking the Copilot response button. It's
I don't think that's gonna happen here.
no.
Oh, it's
it
happening
will.
already, buddy. It's guaranteed.
I have to turn Copilot on first
No,
for
they
that to
don't.
happen.
People are having the free version, which is even worse.
Yeah, it's terrible.
All right, and now because you've waited for it all week. Actually, it's been like 3 weeks.
It's been a minute.
3 weeks?
Three,
Been a
yeah.
little bit.
Since when?
Time for the news.
Since the last time.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah. All right, so today's news comes from, where is this coming from?
Comes from COVID.
It's
Source
coming
of
from a
truth.
different
Comes
tab I
from
don't have
COVID
open.
era.
AV Magazine
AV.
at avinteractive.com. And the title is, Microsoft admits that thing it did was terrible. Well, that's not what
Which
the-
thing is that? I got 5,000.
Microsoft sunsets its Teams Together mode. So that's the movie theater mode
Yeah,
where
all
everyone's
the
piled in
the
there.
goofy
and-
chairs and the theater thing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which
Does
was-
anybody remember, did the NBA do that first or did teams do that first?
Oh, when they
You
did
guys
like
might
the,
not
the,
watch NBA.
no,
You're
During
talking about when they
COVID,
had those the video walls behind
Virtual
them?
people come in.
the virtual
and-
people. Yeah.
Yeah, the virtual fans. And the
That was long
stands.
before that. That was done
Yeah.
by I think it's a company called Urban. I think does
Yeah.
that. So
They do
That
like
happened
baseball
first?
stadiums and all that stuff too. Like where they had all the virtual people.
Yep.
So
Or
Yeah,
stuffed bears.
did any of you ever have to like enable this because somebody actually really, really wanted it?
No.
Have
Yeah.
to?
I
We
did.
did.
But yeah,
I did. Yes.
explain.
We had some leadership that were like, we really, really need this. And it wasn't available like on the cloud version. You needed to have it in the local. So we had to install it on a whole set of machines, which the whole team's installer from that level was a real pain, just so they could use this feature, which never really solved any of the real
I was
problems.
about to say, what problem did it solve? What
It
was
wa-
the advantage
look,
of
it makes you
wasn't
feel like
about
you're
solving
together,
problems.
Justin.
We're together in this, man. What
Yeah, but
problem
they're-
we solved with 21.9? It's the same feature set. So
Does this work in 21.9?
It does.
Larry?
still think
It does?
teams-
Yes.
yeah,
that's
they
the
were
best.
like conjoined issues at one point.
That's like
Yeah.
a singularity of bad ideas.
I still think that Teams developers don't use Teams.
Correct. Nor do they use
That's
Teams
Chris's
phones.
quote.
No, they
Guaranteed. I
used
believe
Skype,
in it.
and they were together in their
No.
garage putting it together over
It's-
COVID. And that's
it's-
when you fire it all up, it says Skype right on it.
It's just a developer, and they're like, "This is going to
Yeah.
be on Xbox," and they came back
Like,
and
we
said,
don't
"Oh, we
care.
put that in Teams."
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't care.
What?
On Xbox, it makes sense. Yes,
Well-
not so much.
Wait, what?
No, it
I
doesn't.
don't know if it does.
So there's no real information here. It simply says that the Microsoft product manager said retiring the Together mode would help simplify the meeting experience and reduce complexity behind
You know,
the
if
scenes.
I was a product
wrong.
manager, whatever you call that, I would just not announce that and just delete it, and then no one would ever know. And now we're not talking about it again.
No,
but
there'd be
Justin, it's also going to help
4
them
people.
focus on engineering investments and improvements that benefit every team's meeting, such as video quality, stability, performance, and suggesting people
Wait a
just go
second.
use Zoom.
How many resources did they allocate to that
6.
stupid thing. Like we gotta cut this off and pull resources away. We got other
Millions
shit to
and
do.
millions of dollars.
What
into
they
that.
should do is when you go to schedule a Teams meeting, it should say, what's your topic? What do you want the outcomes to be? And it says, you know what? This is better off just as an email.
This is
And it
not a
doesn't even
meeting.
let you schedule the Teams meeting.
Yeah.
It just sends the email.
Well, that's a
And you're
different
done.
problem.
Joke's on
You
you. The
are
scheduler
giving-
at Outlook usually doesn't let you schedule Teams meetings anyway.
Yeah,
You are giving
true.
them way too much credit.
Yes.
I mean, I would just be
Preschool.
happy if their products talk to each other seamlessly, let alone one working.
It's all part of the Office suite, Jamie.
Yeah, in a suite, just
Mhm.
like a hotel.
Mhm.
A whole bunch of doors that none of them actually work
They're all
right.
locked unless you
All
buy the
locked
whole
in.
wing. You can't get it all.
It's just going.
That's a weird
There's a
analogy.
story here somewhere. Jamie's locked in a hotel room or something, can't get out.
You okay,
Look.
Jamie?
No, I'm not. I'm struggling today. Struggling.
Okay.
All right. Well, I
All
think this is met by a resounding. That was a thing.
Yeah,
for most
yeah, exactly.
people.
Did anybody ever have the guts to try this in a classroom? I don't know if anybody ever did that.
I'm sure
In a
we'll hear from
classroom?
somebody who says that they
Mhm.
use it all the time and now they're very well upset. So
Yeah.
It's like a core feature set of their learning space.
we've built our new building around this.
We
one
bought
team.
chairs to match these background chairs.
One team in
Damn it.
Redmond.
Yes.
Well, for all 3 people who use this, I'm sorry, it's going away. No, I'm not sorry at all. So,
I don't know if it's 3, bro. It's probably none.
2.5.
Oh, well, I'll let
and-
you know when it's no longer available on my tab to use.
I would just like, I'm just throwing this out there. I would just like Teams to be able to allow me to move the frickin' people around in the grid like you can on Zoom from 7 years ago. Just
Yes, I would like to just move the shared content here and put people over by my camera so it doesn't look like I'm
No.
doing this on a Teams meeting.
we don't have the we don't have the development resources for that, Justin. We spend
That's-
it on putting people in.
That's what I
chairs.
look like on Teams meetings.
I would just.
Justin,
like,
are you paying attention? Yeah, I am. Are you okay?
Why is
Yeah.
there
What's
TV
going on
the
right now?
ceiling?
I'm fine. What's wrong? I'm looking. I'm paying attention.
Jesus.
Stupid.
I'm
Okay.
engaged. All righty. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk to some special guests who are joining us to explain why what they do is critical to the industry and you use it every day, all day long, and you probably aren't really thinking about it. But it's
not.
probably the most important thing you need to be aware of. Is that, did I hype that up enough? I think that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I don't disagree with any of
critical.
that.
It's real. Yeah.
Get your stuff correct before you start into your wacky encoders and protocols. So,
All right. Let's take
all
a
right, quick break. Back 60. The AV SuperFriends are supported by Computer Comforts, and they've got a brand new product hitting the lineup. Last year, CCI's Evolve Lectern was a big hit, a push-button power table combined with a super flexible AV cabinet. But let's be honest, not every room needs 24 units of rack space. Shocking, I know. And that's where the new AV Hub comes in. It's a lighter, more space-efficient solution for classrooms that still need real AV infrastructure. You get 8 units of rack space, and the whole thing sits only about 10 inches off the wall, which makes it a great fit when you're pairing it with a sit-stand power table instead of building a massive lectern footprint into the room. And this wasn't designed in isolation. The AV Hub was developed in collaboration with Texas State University, so it's built around real higher ed classrooms and real deployment needs. And that means fewer compromises, cleaner installs, and way less, why is this furniture the size of a refrigerator? If you want to see photos, specs, and all the details, head over to computercomforts.com/AV-hub. That's the new AV Hub from Computer Comforts. Purpose-built, space-efficient, and designed for how classrooms actually work. And thanks again to Computer Comforts for supporting the AV SuperFriends. All righty. Well, we are joined by 2 special guests. Stacy and Brandt have joined us from the good folks at Neutrik. And, well, you already shifted the screen. Good job, Jamie. Way to go.
Hey, I'm.
Yeah. Hey, that looks
I get it.
good.
I
did
look
one
up at the
thing.
other screen and things have already moved. So Stacy, Brandt, why don't you guys both introduce yourselves and then explain why are you here, and more importantly, why is what you do the most important thing in the entire AV industry? Because it's true.
It's actually true.
That is very true. Stacy, go ahead.
Sure. I'm Stacy Cascon. I work for Neutrik Americas, and I work as Director of Key Accounts and System Integration. Been multiple things over the 15 years I've been there, so that's just the latest and greatest title. But it's very important for what we're going to be talking about today. So the whole reason we're here, I guess, right? So it's to talk about the the curriculum initiative that we have going on, and we'll get into that a little bit deeper, I guess, as we go on. I'll throw it to you, Brent.
Hi, I'm Brent Mathias, and I'm one of the customer solutions engineers at Neutrik Americas. And our products, if you don't have those things connected right, we're not talking to each other here. So if you don't have things assembled correctly internally, if you're banging things around, it's just not going to work unless you get us involved, and that's what we're here for.
And I wanted to start this. So I always question
you're talking,
this.
so
I know
start-
this.
yeah,
This
go
is
on. You
this
need
is
to hold
sounds
this.
super foolish. The correct pronunciation, because we've had some people of the actual. I know this sounds super silly. What is the actual pronunciation of?
People ask us that all the time. So it's Neutrik.
That's right.
Yes, not Neutrik, although, we'll take it, but it's Neutrik, it's Germanic, right? So it's the Neu.
So you don't correct people when they pronounce it wrong. You're like, sure, whatever.
I will from now on.
Yeah, it depends on who it is. Yeah.
I've actually asked some of our counterparts at the headquarters, and I don't know if it's just gone so long that it's Nui or New, whichever one you prefer. But they said whichever one you want to use is fine. And I didn't know if it was an accent thing with the different types of German or whatnot. But Neutrik is how I always was told how to pronounce it right away. So I've always said Neutrik, but some people do say Neutrik.
It's one of the things I always felt where I'm like, I think it's Neutrik, but I always feel goofy. I'm like looking around, make sure nobody's like trying to call me out.
You gotta say it with confidence, Mark.
I know. Now I will. I mean, from here on out, I'm flag in the ground. This is how we say this. I've gotten what I need from this show. Thank you all. At that point.
And we're out.
That's what we're here for.
But no, I think you all approached, we had a conversation around this curriculum. I think, Stacey, you teased this. And we overwhelmingly were like, yes, we need to be involved, because we felt that too often the layer one piece of all the stuff we're doing is often overlooked. And I think Neutrik has met that head on and say, well, let's look at that. And I think, Stacey, Brent, you kind of put together this curriculum of sorts to address some of the concerns, I think, in the industry, like the right and the wrong ways, but more often the right way, how we should be doing this, because we do see problems. And it being that critical layer, every success in our systems is going to be predicated on that being done correctly. And I think you're addressing this in this curriculum. Is that true?
Yeah, I kind of dial back from there, Mark, a little bit, just to kind of give an overview of why. Why do we decide to do it? I think would be a good
what motivated you to go this route? Do all this extra work.
Right. Yeah. The truth. Well, Neutrik, whether you know or not, it's been in business for over 50 years, right? So they've helped establish many of the standards in the AVL industry. But as manufacturers, I think we have a responsibility to share knowledge, not just sell products. So that was kind of the basis of it. We've been, Brent and I have been in this world for a long time, and we've been asked continually from the industry to conduct these type of trainings, and which we have. It was mostly product training, through the years, but this is going to be more focused on applications and standards, best practices, that type of training. And Brant will get into the nitty gritty of that. But, I think throughout the years, our industry's done an okay job, training existing professionals, but certainly not enough to attract or educate the next generation by any stretch, right? So that's where you all come in. But we see it as an opportunity to standardize, from a foundational knowledge for the industry. So that's kind of where it all started. And then we met Joshua, you all know Joshua Kell from Horizon AVL. Met him a couple of years ago when we were working on an NBA 2K space together and kind of doing some different things. And it was just something I just always stayed in touch with him, and kind of just knew that eventually we'd get to the point where we could actually create this curriculum and work on it together, because he was working on some different things in education and whatnot. So fast forward like 2 years.
You've been working on this for 2 to 3 years almost at this point.
And cultivating it. And when it comes to corporate environments, you have to write business plans and get funding and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, it's been that long.
But the real core of it really came from, what are we taking customer calls? Why are customers calling saying, there's an issue here, an issue there, and and tying it to the connector, which technically it is, but we were seeing a lot of things from just improper soldering. People, get trained to do like kind of a what we call a glob and blob solder job with some of these facilities or customers, and it's just that training level. We just started seeing the same things over and over again, and it came out of a meeting. Stacy's like, "Hey, I'm seeing these things," and it just all of a sudden we're like, "Well, why don't we create this training? Why don't we work on this?" And it's we're excited about bringing that out there to bring some consistency. We're excited to bring out the history of why these connectors are made a certain way. And so that's where, the starting point of this whole session is to get to there, and then to go through some of the best practices for proper solder joints. I use that because that's a common one these days, because there's a lack of training out there. There's a lot of YouTube videos and whatnot, and you can pick all of them apart. So and you can agree with some of them. So but the key thing is just trying to get the processes and then show the importance of why we're here, and which you guys have mentioned some of that in our discussions of the robustness that we need. You're in a classroom, kids are running around, and things happen. So
Yeah.
so we think every classroom should have like 10, 20, 30 of our connectors in it.
So you said something super interesting to me, and I was thinking about the process of this. And this may be a whole other show we have to bring you back on, but you get phone calls from customers about your connectors not working correctly.
Yes.
And that is after they call the manufacturers of what those things are connected to and go through, because I'm thinking of that in an actual practice, and I don't want to sidetrack this conversation, but that is very interesting that you get phone calls about, is it complaints? Is it, hey, your connector's not working right? I know I'm doing the solder right, but it's just not taking. Like, I just like, what is that?
I want to see the
What's that
wall
look
of shame.
Typically,
you guys have a really good wall of shame.
oh wow, that would be that'd be amazing. Usually
That
we
should
try
be
to
an
get rid of those.
Infocom thing. The wall of shame.
Do you get the call from the manufacturer, which is from the client actually I guess
it's interesting because Neutrik doesn't really make a whole lot of cables. There's a lot of people, especially here in the U.S., that make the cables, and their names are on the cables, but people see the Neutrik on the end of the cable, and they're like, something's wrong with this cable. So I'm calling Neutrik. And so, or emailing or jumping on our webpage. We have all the ways of contacting Neutrik, and then it's like, well, let's see what you got. And sometimes it's like, hey, send that thing in. Let's check that out. And then you see it, you're like, oh, goodness. Did you try to? Your questions come out to, did you try to fix this? Because we're trying to figure out if one of our customers that's making cables is doing something, or did the customer like, you know what, I just ran over to a store and bought myself some solder and a soldering iron. I'm going to fix this thing and put that wire back on there. It can be quite interesting, or crimp their own RJ45 and they don't know what the pattern should be.
So you have a lot of motivation to create this training program. It sounds like.
Yes. Just
questions you shouldn't be getting.
How did this become a lost art? Was something that we use all the time, and like that's something that a lot of us like on this call, that's what we started with, was trying to figure out how to make terminations and things. How did it become such a lost art that you guys are like, no, this has got to get better?
I think it's because people are kind of blowing past that part of it because it's just a cable. And that aspect of it is people are just moving on, but there's a little more emphasis in the world and the training environments and all, because so much stuff is programming. You guys know, just getting the layout right, and they're focusing more on all the options for what it takes to produce and to set up a room and whatnot, that they kind of hurry past the connection phase of it. And then, when you have your wired connections, which when done properly, that's your strongest connection. You don't have to worry about the interference and things like that, or your Wi-Fi router dropping out or whatever happening. So it's usually, we don't get thought about until there's an issue.
I kind of agreed with Jamie. Like all the people I've hired lately, I can find the skill sets in programming, with audio, with all these other things, but every last one of them, I've had to sit down and teach them soldering and termination. And it's just, there's nowhere else to get this training. So I'm really glad that this program's out there.
Thanks. Yeah, and we've had integrators talk to us too, because they've got offices across the country now, and some of them around the world, and they're just looking for the consistent basics, so that they can at least get the foundation the same, and then maybe they get the guys with more experience. They're like, hey, I learned to do it this way, which may not be the wrong way at all. It's just might be their way of doing it. You know, there's a million different ways to fully apply solder. There's 1.5 million to do it incorrectly, but nonetheless, everyone has kind of their own little recipe for doing that, and straightening out wires when they're terminating RJ45 and those things. But we found that some of these customers would like that consistent base.
I think it's such a critical component, and we had talked about it. All of us have different student programs that we're either running or are part of, and it's kind of like my day one like badge. Like you need to come in here and burn your fingers on the soldering iron and like get some blisters trying to straighten out this Cat5 cable. And it's all like, it sounds like I'm joking, but literally you need to go through these prerequisites so you understand like how these things go together. And it's that layer one. Everything else is going to be built on top of this. And I don't know how many times problems have come up and people are jumping in. It's the routing and the application layer and everything, all this stuff. And it's like, is it plugged in? Like, is it actually, do we actually see that there's link lights and things? And like, well, it looks like it's plugged in, but there's no lights. I'm like, well, there's something wrong in your layer one. Can we at least get that? Well, let me make sure the applications are, it's like, we're going to start layer one, please. And kind of, it becomes that troubleshooting beginning point. And I want our students to understand the value of being able to know that those connections are true. It is certified, it is done the right way, to understand how important it is in that entire chain. Is that I think the industry at large wants to jump into the sexy programming thing and all these stuff. And that's where we're going to solve all these problems. You're not going to solve a layer one problem with program. It's not going to happen. And so it's just critical. And I think that's why we all look at it like this is absolutely needed. But I wanted to kind of ask you guys that you're not necessarily talking about the industry for this. And you guys are targeting like higher ed and K-12 as well. And there's some other folks you want to see this training go out to. Can you talk about some of the philosophy around who all is a target for this?
The long-term vision is, you know, as we know, we're going to be kicking off at Infocom, and you know, Brian can give a little bit more detail and insight of what that particular class is going to look like. So that's kind of the kickoff of it, and then we already do in-person instructor trainings, you know, that we do. There's also going to be online self-paced courses that we'll be offering, whether that be through the educational sector or, you know, with systems integrators who have asked us to do that for onboarding purposes, let's say, or continuing education and that type of thing. So it'll be a multi-layered approach, and that should probably, most of it will be built out by the end of this year and, you know, kicked off in different ways. But the Infocom one we're really excited about because we partner with AVIXA, obviously, and all that good stuff. But Brant, I'll let you talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that one. So part of what I'm doing out at Infocom is we're going to go through a history of what really put Neutrik on the map and why these connectors, and as well as other brands that make their connectors similar to ours, that are using the same principles that Neutrik came up with, you know, starting 51 years ago. And then run through a timeline of that to show why Neutrik is an expert, why we are here in this world, and then going into the different aspects of what we're calling fast training, Neutrik fast training, and that's an acronym that we can get into for how everything works together.
Which is that logo right above your head.
Yeah, that's kind of a quick little setup that I made for having behind me on all my calls that I'm on now. So, but yeah, that's the aspect of it is just each of those steps, you know, it's a 4-step process. If you don't have those all in place, have you really made a good cable? And so it's a fun way to go about it and helps make it memorable. So if you've got a young person step into a process, they can think of, hey, this is fast, and hopefully our process is fast for you.
So with this class coming up at Infocom, how is that going to resemble what's in the LLM, and how you're going to deliver that, with on-demand versus in person, and how you're mixing that up?
So this one, it's actually it's almost more of a teaser, so to speak.
Okay.
We're going to just hit the highlights of what FAST stands for, and like I said, the history of Neutrik, why connectors are built the way they are, and what makes them the awesome connectivity pieces that they need to be. And then we're going to go into why FAST. What are all the different principles of what leads into FAST, and then after that, this is a great intro session. And if that's something to help get people intrigued so that they can get into the courses, whether it's us coming to you to provide the course or doing an online training. I do quite a bit of team style discussions on just the technical aspects of what they need to do with connectors and to help make their system more robust, and then even the hands-on of using these tools, seeing these tools, and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a start from the very basics and the very beginners up to people that maybe have done it for a while, but no one actually trained them. They just did on-the-job training where they've shown up and someone that was in charge of it's like, here's a connector, terminate it this way, and they're like, okay, and they go about and do it, and there's no real checks or balances of if it's a good setup or not.
And even for the course at Infocom, it could be students, new technicians, or seasoned professionals. It really doesn't matter because everybody's going to learn something. And if you do have a certification, a CTS certification that you need some RUs for, it's 2 RUs for the session as well. So
I think it's important for design engineers and managers to take a course on that, just to have an idea of what it takes to terminate certain types of cables, how long it takes to do different types of connectors and cables matching and not matching. That's important to know. If you don't know that when you're planning stuff out, you're going to really make your installers mad.
And to also understand the value in speccing quality connectors. I mean, that's a key point. Like, there's lots of places to get them, but there's few other manufacturers out there that you can use as a ladder if you need to, like, to get up on top of a speaker.
Yeah, well, I mean, for years at trade shows, when I first started with the company, it amazed me that these young professionals would come up to the booth and say, my professor taught me how, or whatever, taught me how to terminate a Neutrik connector, and I've never looked back, and I'll never use anything else. And that always warmed my heart, especially in the beginning. You're like, wow, this is a cult following. Like, this is crazy, but it's the truth, and it continues to be such. And it's, again, I feel it's a responsibility that we have to continue, this education, to the youth, to make sure that they're making the right application-based decisions, because it's super important, as you all know.
I think this is one of those things where you do get burned once,
Mm.
and in our world where the show must go on, sometimes that is where we learn either verifies that we made the right decision, or that maybe we should have made a different decision. And I know you guys have heard stories from the road of why why your brand keeps coming up towards the top.
Oh, for sure. And actually, Stacy mentioned, the person that's loyal from start to finish, but you get someone, and I've done it with different tools myself and different things. You know that you've got this really good thing, but you're like, you know what, this one here, I'm going to try that one out. And then you're like upset with yourself. And
what have I done?
Yep. And then you go right back out. And so you end up spending more money to get it done the right way. And we've done it with all kinds of products out there. But the people that come back to our booth when we're at trade shows, and when they come up and say, like, I tried this, dang it, I come back because Neutrik does this, whatever that feature set that we have that solve their problem. That's what really helps out and makes them more loyal, is because they realize that we've put that forethought into that connector for them to come back and be like, oh yeah, that was dumb of me to go try this other thing.
Oh yeah, and plus they get, there's customer service that goes with, around that too. I mean, you can call our Charlotte office and get humans on the phone that will actually troubleshoot something with you, and that goes a long way too, because it's not just the people out in the field, that we have, that are covering those topics. They can just go and get taken care of.
I'll be honest, Stacy, I have never thought to call you all for problems. I just think
that's awesome.
So,
I hadn't either.
To hear that, I was like, I didn't know they had a support help desk.
But I'll tell you what, I would probably rather call you.
It's pretty straightforward, but I mean, if you've never done one before, then
yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting the calls that we do get, but we put our names in our connectors, we stand by them, and if there is anything, it's good to hear it. If there is an issue, that we're going to knock it out right away, because we are just expected to be the top level professionals out there. And if there is anything, even if it's an assembly process that could be improved, we're going to listen to that.
Well, we keep kind of focusing on if I have a problem, I call you and help me fix my problem, right? But how about, I imagine you guys take a lot of calls where I've got this thing, and oh my God, I need a thing. How many of those do you get? Because we know they're out there. We've all been around those 50 pins connectors. You're like, I don't know how this thing works.
Yeah, you get that. But you guys, earlier at the beginning of the show, you guys talked about the adapters and things, adapters on adapters. And my favorite was a cable came out of a wall too short, and they used adapters to make it longer so that they could get to where they needed it to be. And you're like, what are you doing here? And they're like, well, our cable was too short.
So pull it again.
It's like, yeah. Or put a single, termination point and make a cable, but it was adapters on adapters. So you see all kinds of those things. But
Mark just told me to use the cable stretcher.
Yeah, it's a cable stretcher. Stretch that out.
That actually that happens until it can't anymore.
It's a trick that it can do once. It can't do it again.
Of the things I've had, I was on a project down in two crazy projects in New Mexico. One of them, the weirdest place I had to terminate fiber, was on a bucket truck way up in the sky with the wind blowing, and I was walking back and forth on a 2-person bucket truck, trying to polish fiber STNs. So that was
with heights, or are you scared of heights?
I'm okay with them, but
that was a little excessive.
When you're strapped off and you're in that big bucket, it's not so bad. But the other one was I got a call because the fiber was supposed to be pulled by the facility before we got onto site. And they kept telling us, we're breaking fiber, Like, you guys went through every bend, everything. You're supposed to be, everything should be pulling just fine. After the third roll of fiber down there, we had someone come through there, and I asked them, how are you guys pulling this? They're like, well, our pulling machine. What brand of pulling machine do you have? They were tying it to the ball of a pickup.
Yes. In my mind, I was like, they have like a 4-wheeler or something, but you said pickup. I was like, yes.
Yep. And I was just like, well, maybe you should slow that down, and then maybe you should use like a real puller. But I don't know what broke down and why they decided
down
to use
here in
a
New
pickup.
Mexico, sir. That's
well, we put it in 4 low.
Yeah,
that New Mexico state's pretty crazy. Did you look over and see a pizza on the roof or anything weird? I'm just wondering.
It worked for the barbed wire.
It's yeah. So I mean, we could talk for weeks on the crazy stuff we've seen with cable pulling and terminations and making adapters to go to adapters. That's just the world we live in, and like we all know, if it's live events, show has to go on. You don't get a second chance.
I think that anybody could have done and put together a curriculum with this. I think it coming from Neutrik is really important, because I think there is brand recognition there, because just as we all can have that story of the thing we've done. And I think, Brant, you had shared a couple of stories about, literally trucks running over ends of things. And all it takes is to be a part of that. And many of us, we get our starts in production and all these things where that show must go on. And as I look back kind of where I've done, like the critical components that I'm grew up on, it is that Neutrik product, right? So I think the importance of you being the one of saying, this is how this is done correctly, coming from this reputable manufacturer who does this in the right way is really important. So I do want to just commend you all, like
Thank you.
seizing that moment and saying, yes, we're going to do this because we recognize it as being very important.
Yeah.
And that,
validity.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's-
you're the best to be doing that.
The big shout out goes to Stacy on this as she's developing business for us and recognizing that, you know, us technical guys, we just solve problems and kind of stay in our own little world, but she's doing business development, being like, guys, we're seeing this thing out here and we need to solve it. And when we take a step back and talk about what's the best thing we could do, this class kind of came out of this. And so Stacy's picked that up and run with it and done an excellent job of getting it put out there and described to people what we need to do. I just hope that I can go to the expectations set of doing it good enough for what we want to do. And we're not trying to, you know, tell everybody that this is the only way to make a solder termination. We're going to mostly explain where the issues are of why whatever you're doing has failed. And so that's the thing. It's like, you know, there's a lot of people that have done a lot more RJ45 crimps, fiber terminations, and soldering than I have, but not everyone sees where the problems come from. And that's where those customer calls that we've gotten, like, oh, this is consistently an issue and it's coming from somewhere. Where is that coming from? And so that's where it took us all the way down to this education piece of it, of you know, just not being properly trained for some of those things and what to look for.
And it also comes out of, you know, listening, because throughout the decades, of course, we listen to our customers. That's how we figure out what the next standard should be and, you know, what our customers are asking us for, the next product. So it's no different here. People have been asking for the training, being asked, or asking us to conduct these sorts of things so that they have a better understanding of how to use our products, why to choose certain things, you know, and again, best practices. We go back to that because that's really what it's about. And yeah.
And another perfect example of listening to customers is we've had, you know, our EtherCon family of products is a great family of products and robust. Our OpticalCon family of products is really good and robust. And we've got a next generation of those connectors coming out that are even tougher and smaller. And so we're going to have those out at InfoComm as well. So our True One data connector series is going to have that. It's going to have an Ethernet connector. It's going to have a USB-C, and it's got the OpticalCon Duo with the new MDC style, the little mini Duo style connector. So yeah, that just comes from customers telling us, you know, what they need and what they want. And so our previous versions, those are still going to be around because they're so widely used, but we're taking it to the next level. I mean, these things are going to be pretty rugged devices.
Was that breaking news? Was that the first time that information got released?
No, we released that at ISE.
Okay.
And then NAB, we had those as well, but we have not promoted it outside of, you know, you guys are probably the biggest platform outside of some of our normal advertising that we've had.
And they haven't been released for sale yet.
And right, we're talking, they're so new, and it's been something
September, I think.
In the works for September, I think is what our release date is. But you know, we've been talking to customers over 2 years on what that next generation needs to be, and how do we make it fit. Those are just the first 3 data style connectors that we want to put out, because those are 3 most common styles of use, and so we're looking at other ones as well.
But have you guys been working with the Teamsters on that, so they drive their trucks over the connectors?
Yeah.
So if a connector, like I've mentioned with the story in the past, you know, if the connector is on gravel, that's one thing. If the connector is on straight up concrete and all, that's still a little rough on a connector. I can't. You know, it's tough to help you. A forklift and a connector, a couple. That's a rough way to treat it. But hey, you know, maybe you'll get lucky.
That's how I
So
wrap cables. Yeah,
you
that's
mentioned
what we do.
USB-C connector. You're not
Mhm.
going to start making my installers field terminate USB-C, are you?
Oh,
Like
no,
where?
no, 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 no.
Please do.
Where's
Uh,
that going?
no, that's those will be, you know, some of your cables you can get pulled either through the wall or run over the floor, or, you know,
Sure.
however you get them routed.
Especially the
But
floor.
they will, you know, have at least a termination point, whether it's a rack or like a wall plate, and you have the permanent cable. But the nice thing about these USB-C type connectors is you have people that bring whatever device into the room, they're plugging it into a connector that is, you know, $20 to $50 type of thing, not your expensive unit, you know, whatever you're using, whether it's audio or video device or both. You're you're beating up a connector rather than beating up your device.
Yeah, and the chipset, you know, instead of having to plug it in and it's not going because you have to flip it over because you just don't know. Well, in this apparatus, it's not going to be that way. Either
Yeah.
way you put it in, you're going to get the
Right.
chip.
It's a fully loaded A and B sided connector, and so it's ready to go. It's going to be up to it's 5G. Getting some of those the data rates with how you have to transfer the cable from each interface. You know, each time you plug in a connector, you're getting a little bit of loss, no matter what you're doing. And USB-C with those data rates they're trying to push, and Thunderbolt, those kind of things, it's just tough to keep that data rate up there with those connections in place. So, you know, there's a little bit of trade-offs, but we're continuously working on that. You know, it's not a matter of if we'll come out with those types of things, it's when.
Right. It's not much you can do. I mean, the parameters are what the parameters are for USB-C. So we can't improve that. We could just ruggedize it. You know, make it a little bit.
I always kind of joke with people that anything is possible until our good buddy physics shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And so
we just throw money at it and that gets rid of physics.
Yeah.
I do want to ask, you've described this you're doing like this hands-on workshop at Infocom, this training course at Infocom, as kind of like a preview of this larger training program. What comes after Infocom? What comes after that? What's that program going to look like? What are the resources involved in there? What's that going to involve for people?
So, Stacy, you want to jump on this or?
Yeah. Okay. So when I was mentioning earlier about the long-term vision for the plan, we're you know, Brant is working with the curriculum writers in rounding out these online self-paced modules, right? So there's going to be several more modules that will then encompass this end-to-end 8 to 10 hour course, I believe is what it's outlined to be. And then that would be something that would be put through educational platforms, and then also, you know, any other company, mostly integrators, that would utilize that same structure internally for either onboarding or self-guided training and those types of things. And then we'll just keep going from there as far as, you know, just improving upon it. It's going to have to be recertified every few years, and, you know, the changes that happen with technology, right? So we have to keep up with all of that. So that's just going to be an ongoing thing. And then getting feedback, you know, obviously getting feedback from our peers and from, you know, from the students that will help us kind of create and evolve.
So are you going to end up failing students? That's my question. Is it a pass fail? Can you, like, if someone's so bad, you just like get out of here? Well,
does one of us need to volunteer for that, just so you get the first one out?
I mean, we can just like spill stuff all over.
So
make it even worse.
Talk about that, like the badges. And
we do have badging, and I'm an ex-Army guy, so I'll tell you what, I'm okay with failing you.
Yeah.
Straight up, boom, you're out of here.
Oh boy,
just kidding. You know,
get out.
You know, the kits, you know, we're looking at having kits for this, and whether it's a self-guided thing or in-person instructor-led class, we're looking at different ways of getting evaluations done for people to see how well they've done this, whether it's training someone on site. And so we'd like to even get this all the way down to, you know, the high school type level. You know, if you think of these very beginning people that are going to be joining the workforce within a few years, that they can get some sort of skill set coming out of there, or even if they're just wanting to build their own super gaming system at home and set up with them and their buddies. We're looking at having a thing where an instructor led curriculum throughout a semester. So it's maybe like a semester long type of a class. And there is a school that has maybe some of these smaller schools that don't have a dedicated real tech person that can really get into details and train that, but they're technical enough to understand all the concepts to get this out and have a couple hours a week throughout a semester where they can get the instructor led, like maybe it's the videos from us, but then their instructor knows enough to help them get through what it is they're doing, and then evaluate it enough to be like, okay, this is good, this is bad. So these kits, we're looking at, what are the quantities of connectors? How many times does someone need to practice before they turn in a good piece, connector piece? And so earlier this year, I re-upped the certification for IPC for soldering again. And we did the same thing. The instructor went through the class, and it was like, oh, this is exactly how we're looking at doing this. He went through and told us all the good, the bad, the ugly about everything, and then let us have at it. And we did. I cannot even. I don't remember how many pins we soldered on some of those chips, but it was pretty intense, and it's a lot more detailed than what we'll be doing for the Neutrik training. But at least people have the concept of, here's what it is, some practice time, and then turn one of those in to the instructor to be like, okay, did I make this cable good enough? And if they're really good at it and catch on really quick, they could walk home with like 3 or 5 microphone cables or whatever, So it's the class is geared towards, someone that could build it, but they can also actually use it.
So with Horizon AVL's Platform One, and you're delivering that content through that, how does that tie into the in-person, and how do you see that being different for what you're doing for integrators versus high school? Because I know you all thought this through.
Or
there's been
awesome
some
universities,
instances,
Justin.
huh?
Yeah.
Awesome universities who do this stuff all day long. Maybe those people.
There's a
Well,
lot
I
of
know,
people
but there's
want
a
this.
different
Yeah.
type of teaching style for high school versus college versus integrators,
school's
and
the
your
same thing, it's
approach
just
to that
louder.
is, I'm curious about that. How did you all decide to leverage that?
That isn't completely vetted 100% yet.
Okay.
But it's just the details of how to get that for the level of a lot of schools. So I live in South Dakota, and we have a lot of small schools that don't have a huge budget to bring in a whole like tech program or something like that. But they do most likely have someone on their staff that is their tech director or technical person. And so we want to be able to train them so they can train people. And we're not trying to make them experts at that level. We just want them to have a skill. And then they can get out into the job market, whether it's with a system integrator or something like that. And then it's up to that system integrator to take them to the next level of what they want. And so that's for the high school type part of it. For the for like the system integrator type of situation, they might have a young person that they bring on the team, to help with an install crew or something, to get them the foundations of, this is the product that we're using as a company. And of course, we want them to only use Neutrik, but however that goes. But at least they got to start, and then it's up to those system integrators and whatever to build the skill set that pertains to their particular job and their business.
It relates to the fact that because they have their CTS certifications, and they always need to retain that, and keep it up. So it lends perfectly for that. But I know in conversations with Josh, because he's already very familiar with using Platform One in the school systems, that he has a very good layout and plan in order to get this curriculum across. And when you have somebody that maybe has zero experience in AVL, and following that syllabus, assists them in being able to then lead the class with the instruction and the kits. So it's coming together. It's going to be something that's going to be very, very beneficial. And everyone obviously that we've spoken to is clamoring for it. And we're just, okay, we're almost there. We're getting a couple more tweaks, but like I said, I think by the end of the year, we'll have everything sewn up when it comes to that.
So for your in-person stuff, do you see you all traveling to people's sites? Or are you planning to have some kind of lab or classroom where people travel to you, or both, or what does that look
Both.
like?
Both.
Both. Okay.
We're looking to do both. There's organizations like USITT, just to jump on the soldering aspect of it. They host a huge, quick tutorial type sessions on soldering, and so they have like 40 or 50 solder terminals. And Mark, my counterpart, Mark, and a few other volunteers through USITT. Those guys are just, and gals are just running around. They're just constantly teaching for like 3 or 4 days, however long it is.
It's come through there. Yeah.
It is just, it's crazy. And so that really also emphasizes for us that need out there. There's so many people interested in wanting to do these types of things that there's obviously a need. But we are looking at having both courses and offerings in our headquarters in Charlotte, as well as bringing something to a particular facility.
There you go, Larry.
So if somebody wants to get involved in this right at the outset at Infocom in a week and a half, I think, right? Week and a half, something like that. In a week. That's right. A week.
Yeah.
It's in a week.
Crazy.
So you guys are doing this on Wednesday afternoon at, was it 2:30, I believe? And this
Yes.
is 2 hour long. This is a hands-on, no fooling, come sit down with the experts and we're going to walk you through how to do this stuff correct.
Yeah, we're not going to get into the details of any of the terminations at that point. We're going to go through the what we call the FAST process and tie it into what that means for those different types of connectors, like 4 or 5 different styles of connectors.
Gotcha.
I'll
That's
lead
just what we're gonna do.
into the broader curriculum. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, because this one's 2 hours and your full
Yes.
thing is 8
Yeah,
hours. You
it's-
can't
yeah.
cram 8 into 2.
no.
Otherwise, we would be cheating
Yeah.
physics.
Try.
Yeah.
Number one is taking away from the ads for soldering irons. We're going to make sure that people know how to hold a soldering iron. We've all
Oh.
seen those ads where
Yeah.
they're smiling, holding the tip.
I can smell those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
see one.
So, but yeah, it's the FAST process. We'll get into what that acronym stands for at Infocom.
Well, very good. I think so. I'd just say to anybody out there, if you're interested in this, definitely attend the course at Infocom. And I think it's fair. Reach out to Stacy or Brant, and we'll put links in the show notes here if you have more questions, and they'll get you tied up with that. But we're going to see more of this stuff come out over the next few months and over the coming years as it builds this full curriculum, which I think is very exciting because, as we've talked about, people focus a lot on protocols and software and programming, and they forget that they're not even building their connectors correctly, and that's what's causing their issues. So, last thoughts, Stacy, Brant.
I look forward to seeing people. I'd love to have the room packed out there. I think it fits like 88 people or something like that. So jump in there. It's a session that we're putting on. It's right away in the show. I mean, we all know how busy the show floor is on the first day. So go attend the training sessions, and then you can go hit the days. You can get more access to us on the last 2 days. I mean, I'd like to also have people stop by the booth on Friday. It helps keep me moving, but rather than talking to my counterparts, which is always fun to catch up with them, but it's nicer to have customers come and see us.
We're coming to your booth on Friday. We are going to
we're
be
gonna
there
drag a
on
pile of
Friday.
people over there on Friday.
Well, good.
Awesome.
We'll be there for sure. And, we're just super excited about it. And I know that you guys are too. And just building out this platform that help, individuals grow, just education wise, and have them grow in their careers and just strengthening the AVL industry as a whole. I mean, that's the goal. And, we're going to do it.
Right. Yep. Put it out there and take some feedback, see what we like, or see what people have for input. Like, hey, you guys don't really need to do this. Why don't you do this, and we'll take that part, or however it works out. We're pretty easy on that. We just need someone to get to a base level.
If people want to reach out to you guys, what's the best way? If they're just interested and they're like, hey, I want that, or they want to be involved, or they want to get more information, what do you have a contact set up? Do you have an email, or is there anything out there that you guys can share?
Yep. The email is fast.training@neutrickgroup.com.
Gotcha. I bet you there's tons of people that are hearing like, oh, I want that whole program right now. I'm one of them. I want to know how I can bring it, and how I can actually use this to take care of that whole segment of training.
Yep. Actual humans will actually open up those emails. So
Yeah,
Whoa.
and I've never been involved with a video production and things like that where it's been actual recorded and production side of it. So it's been some learning for me, but I'm excited. It takes a lot longer. It's not just sit down and TV movies. They all make that look so easy. It's quite different is what I've learned. So.
Yeah.
Well, very good. I think so. Brant, you were telling us about some interesting times with terminating fiber in a bucket truck. We're going to all talk about that here in a moment. So let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and share our the worst terminations we've ever had to make or fix, the worst places we've ever had to be when we're terminating things, all that sort of fun stuff. We're all going to share some about that for a few minutes. So we'll be right back in 60 seconds.
From Independent Amalgamated, the company that saw a perfectly normal room corner and said, what if we made this everyone's problem? Comes the revolutionary new corner array. With multi-directional corner projection, sound goes everywhere, all at once. Whether you're in the front row, back row, or desperately fleeing the room, Corner Array delivers up to 400% more acoustic confusion. Enjoy built-in muddiness with precision phase cancellation because stereo wasn't chaotic enough. And clarity has had it too good for too long. Ideal for over-treated, over-designed spaces, Corner Array makes every seat the worst seat in the house. Corner Array by Independent Amalgamated. It's not broken, it's Corner Array.
I think that's the first one of our products. It's a real product.
That's a real thing.
I've seen this thing and it scares the hell out of me.
It's odd.
It's in a weird, odd place in a state called Utah.
Those of you who have seen it know, and those of you who experienced it, you really know.
I feel like I missed a story here.
You did.
We'll explain. Yeah.
We'll explain it. Yeah.
All right. So, worst things we've had to terminate or re-terminate. Worst places we've had to be. What do we got out there? Brant's set the bar pretty high with fiber on top of a bucket truck.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good one.
I have two. I have one similar. Was doing it all wrong. I'll admit that. This is like my first foray into fiber, so I'm going to do that one really quick. This is 11 o'clock at night, ready to go, standing on the very top part of a ladder with the very first of those old multi-mode Crestron ends. And I had the cleaver up there balancing on all the thing. And I'm like, what? None of this works. We're trying to proof it out, shine light through it. And what we didn't follow was that, remember that little thin like meniscus layer in there, and you needed to like get that off. You had to scrape that thing out. I must have went through like $200 worth of connectors on the top easily. And, we're trying to proof out that this is back when like it was a good idea. We're going one big centralized switch, Chris, the Linus Pauling space where we had everything old multi-mode fiber. And the day before classes trying to get this thing up and running. So I'm standing on top
fiber
of
is now 6 feet shorter.
Yeah. And we're just clipping and cleaving away. And we're like, man, we are running out of spool here. And so that was my quick fire with my Neudrich story is that my February freezing cold back of a truck. This is rock and roll days. The crew had the rig the night before, and they're like, we think all the subs are blown in here. So here I'm in New York City, February, like freezing cold. I'm fairly young, so I'm climbing over back into this back of this box truck. Not the same box truck from the diesel incident for those.
It's like diesel or gas?
Not that one. And so in this thing, and so he's like, we have to click check every one of these speakers. And these are the big old community dual, like 18 guys. So I had to take a NL8 or actually NL4 connector, fasten this thing together with a piece of bare wire in totally dark, just a little mag light flashlight, freezing 20 degrees, going through 16 of these things, one by one with the 9-volt battery trick. You put it on there to boom, boom, clicks or doesn't click, having to go through with the trick and L4 to test all these. I don't know if it's termination, but I was determined to get done with it because it was freezing cold and I couldn't feel anything on my fingers in the back of that box truck in middle of February in New York City. Just double. That was like one of my first Neudrich, learning how to build those things. And then when I found the one that didn't work, obviously the question is, what, did you pin it right? I'm like, it worked for the other 15. And why would it not work for this one?
It was the bottom one in the very back, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was always the last one, right? And so,
Well, hopefully it's the last one you tested.
Yeah. So my Nortric and my fiber worst termination experience.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that with that being freezing cold, but that's the type of thing that led to the toolless chuck that Neutrik was the first to implement in connectors, and which has led to the Speak-On connector being the first one that really jumped into us. When your fingers are cold and it's dark, and you have to try to screw in a little screw, and then you drop the dumb thing. That's where that whole toolless chuck, that's what really got Neutrik moving forward as a company.
I'm flashbacks right now. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So early in my career, when I was a programmer at my integrator, they would send out the installation team first, and they would hit like multiple projects a state away, and I would follow around in my vehicle, and I would do the programming, then I would train the client.
Like while you're driving?
I would do the programming. Once I'm there, I would train the client the very next day. And so the installation team with all the tools and all the stuff was already gone. I had my little tool case with a soldering iron and a pair of vice grips and some connectors. And I got there to one of the projects I was working on, and I noticed that they had ran 5-wire cable through the ceiling, and the projector had a VGA connector on it and no RGB-HV.
Gross.
But they had terminated the RGB-HVs, which was very nice of them. It just didn't go anywhere or connect to anything.
They make an adapter for that.
Yeah.
They did, but this
He
was
made
in
one
like
too.
the
That was
middle of
fine.
Illinois, and there was no way to get that adapter within reasonable
Not
time.
your local
frame.
Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I happened to have a VGA connector in my tool case. And so I had to climb the 12-foot ladder and
You soldered it.
solder a VGA connector on the top of that. And the cable was just long enough that I couldn't actually attach it to anything. So it was kind of swaying while I was doing it. So I was using the vice grips to like hold it in one hand and do it. Yeah, that was not fun.
Never is. Never is.
Am I next?
Either you or Jamie. I bet one of you guys have
So-
a music. I know it.
This
was about
man. I have nothing.
15 years ago when we first got our first instant replay system at our football stadium, and it was the first 5-channel fiber system in America for a Division I school, which is weird that it happened at WKU, but whatever.
Gotta test it somewhere.
Yeah, I got to test that with guinea pigs, whatever. So
safe to fail. That's what we call
again, young in my career, I don't remember who designed the infrastructure for this, but I do recall that during the beginning of the season, that they put the boxes to hold the electronics above the restrooms, one on each side for the PTZ cameras. And where I was stationed for replay as a replay technician, I was on the visiting side, and these boxes are on the other side of the stadium, on the second or third level, and the PTZ cameras are outside, lightning protection and all that with lightning rods. And so the only way to get there, we had something happen during the game. I don't know what it was, but we lost, I think, the left side PTZ camera, which is where the women's restroom is. The men's is on the right. So in order to get to the box where everything plugs in, you have to climb up the janitor's closet ladder, 2 stories. It's a straight ladder attached to a wall. You know what I'm talking about. When you get up there, and I knew what I was in for, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this during the game.
People screaming.
You have a block wall, and there's drop ceiling on your left, and there's 4 foot of space, and then the block wall, and there was a gap there that if you slipped, I would probably get stuck. I wouldn't slide all the way down, but it was a decent size. So it's about a 15-foot walk. So you're walking on top of the block that's filled with concrete. And I'm hearing toilets flush and women talking, and I start to get really nervous. So in order for me to work on the termination, I have to let go of anything that I'm holding on to. So I had to re-terminate fiber and re-terminate copper with standing above the women's restroom live during a game with holding on to nothing. So I'm sure I broke 10 OSHA rules doing that. That was not fun. I was super nervous. I just see myself
did you do it correctly? Did it
feeling
work?
like landing in the middle of the women's restroom. Oh my God!
Did it actually work though? Were you successful in your endeavor?
Yeah, I mean, I went back and finish the game. It worked. So.
Yeah. What they didn't tell you is it was just off.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't plugged in. The
If you
power
know
cord wasn't
replay,
plugged
like
in.
you have the replay official and replay communicator and you. And when things don't work, like, okay, well, I'm going to go fix it at halftime. What do people do at halftime? They use the restroom. It was like really busy. So it was a whole thing. That was
Jamie,
fun.
what do you got, Jamie?
I'm boring,
Nothing
man.
weird? Oh, come
I got nothing weird. I mean, it's the
Nothing
normal
weird.
stuff of stand on top of the ladder
What's the
trying
weirdest
to
thing you've soldered?
one of those like 25 pin barrels. It was a broadcast barrel where it's you know, and I thought I was hot shit, right? And somebody said you got to fix it. I can fix that. I know how to solder. And I sat down with the cheapest solder, and not quite the Walmart soldering iron, you know, but it was not a high end Weller or anything. It was just there.
You haven't changed one bit, Jamie.
Nope. And then I got about halfway through and I'm cussing, and then the engineer, the old engineer, came over and he sets down this other iron and he goes, "Try this." And it gets the heat setting gets up to nuclear. I'm like,
So much.
well, that's
nicer.
way better. It was so
Works.
bad. But I think everybody's trying to, bit off more than they can chew when they start soldering. Like, I can do this. I can do XLRs all day long. I can do this.
Yeah.
No, it's different. Nope, it's different. But it's not exciting or new. It's just different. And now I know. And I should have gone to the stupid class. And
And repairing stuff with some flux is just a miracle, isn't it?
right. I mean,
Flux sounds like a luxury. I would love to have that from time to time.
or like the first time you come across silver solder and it's a different, heat point.
Yeah.
And you're like, why won't it melt? This is stupid. Oh, whoops. Maybe I should have done it right. So, Brant, like you said, little confidence is a lot of ignorance.
Oh yeah. If you didn't make mistakes, you weren't trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Well, I tried really hard.
Yep. Yep. I've done plenty of dumb stuff.
That's why we take a class.
Yep.
There you
At
go.
least get started.
Have any of you guys ever heard of one of our products that's called ConvertCon? I'm just curious.
No. What is?
All right, so you're gonna have to look it up.
Do you still make it?
Oh yeah,
Is
been
it
around-
weird? I want to buy one.
You need to, seriously. Everybody should have one in their bag. But
ConvertCon?
People,
it converts male to female XLR.
XLRs.
Yeah, I thought that was what it was. I was like, I don't want to sound like I'm totally big.
Yeah.
It is. I looked it up, and yes, it is that device.
I have used
People-
that. I didn't know what it was, but
For
I've used
years,
that.
people every time they see it, they go, "Oh my gosh, when did that come out? Did that just come out? This is wonderful."
You're like 1970.
It's been around for a very long time now. There's some funny YouTube videos. I don't know if they're still out there, but one person wears a tutu. That's all I'll say. But it's pretty funny. Pretty funny.
Oh,
But yeah,
thing.
it's just another one of those products that have been around for so long. The same thing, like even with Silent Plug, people say all the time to us, like, "Oh my gosh, that just came out." No, it's been around
Yeah,
for 25 years.
I brought some of the latest silent plugs out to NAMM this year, and it was amazing. People were like, "Oh my God, you guys just come out with this?" Like, no, the materials are new. The concept and the product has been around for, I don't even know when we made the first silent plug, but it's been around for quite a while. Yeah.
But yeah, we make some pretty unique products, that's for sure. But yeah. The ConvertCon is a funny one, just because of what we all do. Sometimes it's just good to have something like that available because you never know.
I never returned from a trip with one. They always, someone's like, you like pack everything up and you're not looking at everything. You get back and you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'll just order another one.
We just did trainings this week at a very large retailer in Indiana, and so we had these bags of connectors, and we were passing them around while we're talking about all the different types and what they're good for, and basically everything is laid out at the end of the class. And we said, okay, well, if you want any of it, just take it, because we don't want to take it back, right? So people rummage through it, and that's always gone, among other things. But that one is always gone. It's just funny. People are like, all right, I don't really need another XLR, but I'll take that one.
Well, I think let's wrap it there. Stacy and Brant, thanks very much for joining us. Again, Infocom in a week and a half, a week from when you're listening to this next week. But if you're streaming it live, it's in a week and a half. Whatever. Wednesday the 17th, right? Is that the right day? 18th, 17th. 17th at
Wednesday
2:30.
17th.
Sign up for the course. Go fill that room to get the kickoff for the fast training, and then curriculum will build, and we'll see more of this in the coming months and over the next year. Look for hands-on opportunities, and look for in-person training in an area near you. Whatever that logistics of that look like, I'm sure that will expand rapidly as we go. So,
and if you attend the training and stop by our booth afterwards, you'll get something that nobody else gets.
Like a lollipop?
It's a secret.
We're in.
Lollipop.
Lollipop?
Maybe.
All right.
All right.
Will it be one of the ruined fiber ends you were trying to terminate on the bucket truck?
One.
I got a lot of those. That was, like you said, that fiber was meters shorter than it started.
In there.
Yeah, I think the problems with terminations are a challenge. I'm glad to hear you guys are putting best foot forward to kind of get some correct action on that. So we look forward to that. Brant and Stacy, thanks again very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's great.
All right. We'll see you.
And we'll see you at Infocom. Well, we've managed to ruin yet another episode of AV SuperFriends Off the Rails. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com. If you complain loud enough, we might just invite you on the show.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV SuperFriends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.